Hi, I'm Sophie, and I haven't seen a lot of movies.
Hi, I'm Paul, and I'm here to help with that. And we are
SP Film Viewers.
If I have any more fun today, I don't think I'm going to be able to take it.
I really wanted to laugh at you all the time, and I was like, no, Sophie, don't look at him.
I know you'd probably make me break down. That was a quote from the film, but in the voice of Droopy Dog.
Is that what you were going for?
Yeah. Trying to go for.
No, you said it. It does work. I wouldn't have said straight away Droopy, to be fair, but...
It's say something a lot worse.
Simple, Paul. Maybe when you've had too many drinks. Thanks, Paul. Thanks. You're welcome.
Well, there's a line that Franklin says, who's one of our people in this film, who's sadly it's just even the title crawl text describes him as an invalid, so it's like, yeah, it's not great, but
bless him, no, he's in a wheelchair, isn't he?
Yeah, but before we get into all that other stuff, we are today going to be talking about the Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Oh, yay!
From 1974.
How excited are you to review this movie, Paul?
Directed by Tobe Hooper. And yes, I'm quite excited to be reviewing this one.
I thought you were just
ignore
me.
Get through the bit and then
Sorry, I interrupted your part. I'm really sorry.
It's okay.
Slap my pandies. So it opens with kind of
scrolling text.
Yeah. But then I didn't like the way the text was working. I know that sounds really daft. Obviously it was in yellow, but the way, like, it was not paragraphed, it was like paragraphed with an indentation.
Uh-huh.
But then you had somebody reading it anyways to you, and it was like, I don't know, why is there a load of text on the screen if somebody's going to read what's exactly on the screen? Don't say this is before, obviously, people who, like, can't see a picture or something like that. I don't know. Or it's the other way around. I just don't get it. It's like, it was not any other visual we could put in there.
Like what exactly?
I don't know, maybe a panning landscape or something. Like, like the Shining opening, kind of, where it's telling you that...
Still with text or not?
No
text at all?
No, not...
Just have a voiceover?
Yeah.
Over it. I guess so. But, like you said about yellow text on a black background, you were not expecting like the Star Wars...
Well, at least the Star Wars are kind of innovative in the way that it kind of looks like it's 3D coming out of the screen.
Or going up to the screen. But
clever.
There's nobody reading it as like, this episode, Luke...
It's called
the rebellion
music, though, hasn't it?
Yeah, exactly. It wouldn't have the same impact if somebody was reading it as it was scrolling.
It was really boring. It was like, really?
Really?
Yeah, I was like, okay, well, there's no point in me reading, no point in me really looking at the screen, because there's no point in me reading it because he's telling me it.
But it's not true anyway, what he's saying. It's all fictional. This tale didn't happen. This isn't an account of an event.
Sounds like it could happen, though, to be fair. It doesn't sound half unreal.
But I think that's kind of like building the suspense in that regard, because it's making it seem like, right, you for the audience to believe that this is an actual real event, a bit like the Blair Witch.
Well, that seems realer, to be fair, than this, but it's scary how both of them could actually be true. Mm-hmm. But the bit that makes me unnervy is then it's opening up with a dark screen after the text is gone.
Yeah.
And it's like kind of dark, and then you see this shot of a camera flash.
Yeah, it's making that weird noise, like...
It's such an old camera noise.
Is that actually what that is?
It's a flash gun, yeah.
Yeah.
So it is an old, like a light bulb kind of...
But it would actually make that noise?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I thought that was maybe like a added effect to like make it impact, like it's like a like screeching bones or something like that.
I do know Cameron flashes can make... Old Cameron ones can make a horrible noise because it's like a flash burst.
Yes.
So it's like, imagine...
Yeah.
and then it does that, and then it'll be kind
No,
of...
but I just assume it's like and that's it.
I'm wondering if it's the film as well, so it'll probably be the film camera, so there might be the reeling it
right
on.
Well, you know more about that kind of stuff
Obviously,
than
I didn't see the camera, but I'm just thinking with the age of the film and the fact that it looked like it was dated in its 70s, it probably wouldn't have digital at that point.
No, of course.
So yeah, I didn't really like that though. This was something where photography, for me, we did delve into, obviously, kind of documentary photography and everything like that, and I know I've reached on it before, but I don't really feel like that'd be something I'd want to take pictures of. Like, oh, you get paid to take pictures of a dead body. Like, I couldn't do that. That's just too cringy for me. It was getting really close on, like, the fingers, nails, and...
Yeah, this decrepit skull and all that stuff, yeah.
Oh, it was horrible. I was like, this is disgusting. Like, why would you want to take a picture? I know you've got to for evidence and stuff like that, but I don't know, I couldn't look at that on a daily basis if that were my job. No. So I didn't really appreciate the opening. But then it swiftly goes on to, like, a hippie vibe.
Yeah, like, hippie culture in the 60s was kind of dying down, but still kind of apparent throughout the
Would you
South.
think if you were kind of born in that era that you'd be a hippie? I know my sister would be definitely a hippie. She's already kind of like that now, really.
Not too sure, really.
Don't know how free-willed you are, Paul. You wouldn't want to be running in a field, would you? I don't know. I think possibly I like the idea of peace and flowers and all of that. But I don't know if I'd want to be wearing all the hippie clothes.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's a bad movement, really, to have. We've had worse. So you kind of get in towards where you know in your characters a little bit. So they're worried about their granddad's grave.
Yeah.
So it seems to be, this is also something as well that doesn't bode well with me. People digging up graves, just don't do it. It's not a thing that should be done. Why would you do it? First of all, I don't understand the urge of it. Second of all, I feel like then that person should be allowed to haunt you because you've rest
By
at
rights,
peace.
they have the rights to do so.
Like, rest at peace is one of those things, if that's what you say when you put the person to bed kind of thing. It's like a...
Into the soil bed.
Yeah.
The coffin.
Exactly. And why would you disturb them? If they're going to be resting at peace, then leave them in peace, and just don't dig them up. That's why I don't want to be buried.
No, I agree. I'd rather be cremated than have done with.
But no one can mess with my bones and my bodies, and then I'll be up there. If somebody were messing around with my gravestone, I'd be like, "Oi, bugger off! It's my house!"
So at this point, anyway, they're going. So like this again, this newsreel, like, or talking, explaining about this situation. Where obviously this seems to be quite a popular thing to be doing, digging up graves, and there's this horrendous figure just stuck on top of a gravestone, and it's kind of like it's a bit grotesque and everything.
Gives me shivers.
In this like sunset red tones that we've got going on throughout the film, which kind of gives us obviously the heat, the sweltering heat that's going on within the film, and that kind of goes throughout. Really, you can almost smell the atmosphere that the film has going throughout it. Okay, do you think?
Now you said it, I didn't really think about it while watching it, to be fair. That didn't really enter my head. I was just more thinking it was warm, because obviously that girl was wearing hardly anything on her back. Yeah. And to be fair, the way that the bodies looked like they were decaying and like
rotting
they would
in the sun,
which is never pleasant.
Yeah. Well, the whole film was kind of like set in like sweltering conditions, so they were really like pushed to the limits of like working conditions of how.
Oh, so that was actually genuine.
Yeah, it was all mostly genuine in the fact that how they were pushed to do certain things, like encounter instances throughout the film, like with Leatherface when we get to him and stuff. Those like first initial reactions to seeing him, to make it all the more real.
What was that other film that did that? I can't remember where they pushed her and pushed it. Oh, it was yet again The Shining. Same thing, where it's like wanting that reaction, that scare, to be genuine.
Yeah. So just keep doing it. I want it actually to break down and be,
God, that is horrible, isn't it?
Yeah.
But to be fair, compared to a Shining performance, I still don't feel like she screamed that convincing for my liking. It was actually quite feeble, was the screams in this film, to be fair. Okay. So I don't feel like they tried hard enough.
Okay. But It's one of those films that you wouldn't get away with doing these days, pushing to be uproar and rights and all that kind of stuff being thrown about.
And so there should be, really. You shouldn't really... That's like kind of mental torture in a way, isn't it?
For what they go through, yeah.
I don't think I could act for toffee, and I know that I kind of slag these people off and say, oh, well, they didn't do a performing, but I couldn't do any better, to be fair. But to be honest, I don't want to. So
I know,
that's the difference.
Yeah, but you're all right now. That wouldn't happen. You wouldn't be putting them in those conditions anymore. And so, all these characters that we have in this like hippie mini van type thing, they kind of come across this hitchhiker, which is kind of going like, why would you do that anyway? Like,
he's got blood on his face. Is first of all, that's a key sign, isn't it? To be fair, is he well dressed?
Even any normal hitchhiker, they could be looking smart as all, and you'd be a bit like, oh well, why are you dressed in like a tuxedo in the middle of nowhere?
It sounds horrible nowadays, doesn't it? Because it's like nobody will help anybody, and it's like that hippie vibe. That's why they're like, oh, we'll give him the benefit of doubt, and then it's like, oh, actually, maybe we shouldn't have
done this. Yeah.
And a part of me thinks, no, I probably wouldn't pick up a hitchhiker. I really wouldn't. And I feel really horrible saying that, like, but I'm just thinking of my own self.
Yeah, because if the shoe was on the other foot, you'd want like, please help me, type of thing, and then nobody's like, oh, forget you. I'm not even interested. Yeah.
So I know it sounds horrible because it's like we're in a world where nobody will help anybody because we don't trust anybody. No. Like, there's so many homeless people out there, and then there's other people ruining it where somebody could actually genuinely need help. Mm-hmm. And there's other people who've got a home and then they pretend they're homeless.
Yeah.
So nobody gives to the homeless now, and it's like this. It's just a vicious circle of what to believe. But no, I would not normally pick up a hitchhiker. Selfish reasons, because I don't want to get murdered, and as well, I don't know you from toffee. So, but then I would like to think someone would pick me up if I was stranded. But then, why would I be stranded? And if I was stranded, wouldn't I have a car? Do you know what I mean? Like, what situation would you get into where you're stranded nowadays if you didn't have a car?
And you'd have a phone when you're in, so it's
because I think I'd like to help somebody if they were on the motorway or they were stuck in the middle of the countryside and they had a car. I feel like that's more genuine, like, oh, okay, the car's broke down.
Yes.
So they're stranded.
Scenario.
And they don't have to get in my car. I can just help them move along.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's more an American thing again, like doing hitching a ride type of thing, and it's just obviously long roads, and that's how, instead of flying it or whatever, it's kind of like just straight roads, and just that's the easiest way to get to A to B. I don't know.
No, because no one will pick you up, so you won't be getting anywhere. But this guy is so weird.
Oh, isn't he just? Yeah.
So weird. And like, the cutting of...
Well, yeah, that particularly for me, the first time I watched that in university, wasn't prepared for this, because... and I just prepared myself like a sandwich.
What kind?
I think it was like a ham sandwich or something. Very basic.
But still, it's like flesh, isn't it?
Yeah, obviously thinking, why am I eating through a horror film? But I wasn't expecting it to be something be kicking in this early.
Well, normally it doesn't, to be fair. It's like half an hour at the end where...
Or something like that.
That's what it feels like at the moment.
But when I was taking a bite and like chewing it and everything, and this thing happens, even though it's not very particularly graphic or anything like that, you can tell it's on, like, seeing it now, it's like it's clearly fake blood. Mm-hmm. But it was just like, because I'm not really good with like cuts and bruises.
Well, you bleed for toffee, don't you? You're ridiculous.
Open wounds anyway, and so I genuinely felt like, not like I was going to be surprised, like, oh, look, I shouldn't have done that. It's horrible.
I just don't get it though, the whole cutting of yourself. And
no,
I feel really sorry for
Franklin.
Thank you. I was just going to say
because he gets his arm cut as well, and so he gets all the worst of the.
And he's in a wheelchair, bless him. And it's like he can't. That really, for me, was the worst part in this film, was him being in a wheelchair. So the thought of him not being able to run away, if any danger, that really made me feel discomfortable. And to be fair, the people that he'd invited him over, his friends and family, they didn't care about him, did they?
No, they didn't.
And that annoyed me, because it's like, well, why did you bring him along? If you're not going to look after him and be supportive and be there for him, why the hell did you even bother? So that frustrates me, and it's like, he'd have been better off at home.
Yeah, he'd be alive, wouldn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, because, like I said, like, it'd be easy to criticise characters in these horror films. He's like, oh, you just run away. What's the big deal? But he literally can't run away, so he's at a major disadvantage, and he's.
Well, with this one, I was a little bit like felt more discomfortable with the fact that I'm thinking, oh, well, he's going to die. How's he going to die?
Yeah.
And how am I going to feel about that? Because this running away kind of screaming thing, that's like just a common
that's
horror thing.
Commonplace, yeah.
Whereas when somebody's like literally is disabled and they can't defend themselves, I feel like that's even crueler.
Mm-hmm.
It's like putting an animal in a corner and
just shooting it outright or something. Yeah,
I just feel like it's cruel.
Yeah,
but
I don't know. Sorry, on the thing about the animal stuff. Anyway, because obviously there's kind of like that setup with the fact that obviously they're driving past this slaughterhouse and there's cows in this field, and it's kind of like, well, that's kind of like what they're going to be like, almost lambs to the slaughter, or
so to
livestock.
Speak. Yeah.
Soon to be.
Didn't even twig on that one because obviously I didn't know that this guy in the van actually comes back around in the end.
Because you were like part of this half-hour bit, or maybe whatever it was, he was kind of like, well, this is a bit tedious, like not a lot's going on here, kind of just meeting these people, and what's the point of all this? But,
and as well, I didn't really like the people that I were meeting.
Yeah, they didn't.
So nobody has a really, like, even is it Frank? Franklin. I know he's obviously disabled and in a wheelchair, but even his character is annoying.
Yeah.
Because he self-pities himself, and I know obviously, but there's so many people nowadays in that situation that do loads of things. And he's just like, oh, woe is me, and he's in his own little pity party. And I can't deal with that either. Yeah,
like he's trying to go into the house and everything. But yeah, you kind of feel like, oh, this isn't fair on him. But it's kind of like...
But then when he starts going, like a child, I'm like, yeah, no wonder people are leaving you in the van and forgetting you.
I know, yeah.
Because he can be quite irritating. So I think, obviously we've got the petrol station, or we've got no gas or anything like that. And I didn't even twig that the people in the petrol station were weird.
Involved as well.
Yeah.
Well, because the older guy in there was like, oh, you don't want to be going up to that house type of thing. It's almost like trying to ward him away. It's like, don't really know what his motivation was there. Maybe he just didn't want like the fuss, perhaps, because he's...
Or maybe he was saying it like reverse psychology. So saying, oh, you don't want to.
Yeah.
But then people going, oh, well, he's telling me not to, so I want to even more.
Perhaps.
Was it possibly that?
Yeah.
Maybe. But I think maybe he was the one that, out of them all, didn't want... He couldn't do the deed. And
he claims so later on, but...
I feel like he's one of those that I don't think is as bad as the rest of them.
No, he's just the middleman in a sense.
Yeah.
That other guy who was like washing the car down, though, he wasn't involved. I kind of forgot he wasn't like in amongst the cahoots with anything.
His marbles had gone or something.
Because he was like looking at the sky or something.
He didn't look all with it, to be fair. So I don't know if it was... I don't know, why is this a thing with Texas people?
Sorry, Texas.
But what is it? Like, it's like a hillbilly thing, isn't it? You know, like...
Stereotypically, it's kind of like the down south of the deep south is where, inbred and that kind of stuff going on.
What's his name now? I forgot the name of the game. Grand Theft Auto.
Oh, yes. Oh, what's it called now?
Oh, because he's from Texas, isn't he? He's
Redneck, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, what is he called?
That's really going to annoy me because I know you know, because you used to always play as him. I think it was Franklin.
Is it Travis?
That doesn't sound right.
Trevor,
there we go.
Got there in the end, yeah.
Yeah, so that's what it reminds me of.
A little bit, yeah.
I don't understand what the cliche or how they've become around.
Yeah, we do apologise. Sorry, we're not making fun of people from Texas or anything like that.
No, because I've never been, so I can't really make my own judgment. But these films do make it look like...
I think that's just part of the delusion, or in this reality of how people are kind of just so messed up in that regard that they've got some psychopathic mannerisms to them. I don't know.
It kind of doesn't make you want to go, does it?
I don't know if you clocked the fact that there was kind of like some sunflowers in amongst this junkyard. Obviously when they go into the house initially, kind of like, oh, this is like a nice, pretty scene that we have in amongst all this crap that we've got.
The house is really nice. Like, it's a white picket fence.
Almost, yeah.
It looks lovely. You would think somebody nice lived there. The outside...
It's got like a little swing on the...
Yeah. So it's really weird. It like allures you in thinking, oh, there'll be a little old granny in there with some cookies or something. That's
instead, you get the worst. Yeah.
Yeah. But to be fair, my argument, yet again, with all these films, don't go out of your way to seek danger. This is what they're doing.
Uh-huh.
Who goes into somebody's house and goes, hello?
Yes.
Knock, knock, knock. Oh, the door's open. I'll just walk in. Who does that? Like, in your right mind, why would you?
I know.
I wouldn't.
I guess, like you say, because of the fact it's such a nice area, it's not like a decrepit, spooky-ish house, so they're thinking maybe it's just...
But if you're wanting someone to give you a favour of helping you with petrol, I don't feel trespassing is the right way to go about it. Because I know if somebody walked into my house I didn't know, I'd be absolutely fuming.
Yeah, I know, but...
Like, get out. No, not helping you. You just...
I know.
Just walked into my house.
It's Kirk that's the one who gets the first smack in the head.
And that's not that bad, actually, that isn't, to be fair.
No, did you not think... I felt like you were maybe, like, kind of shocked initially, because you weren't kind of expecting that sudden, like... A lot happens in those, like, 10 seconds kind of thing. You're kind of, like, walking up to this thing, we hear this pig noise, kind of, like, go to this back room that's open with you. You've got these skulls on this back wall in this red room. It's like, why would you even, like... Go in there. So he runs up to this thing on like metal ramp thing, and then you see like Leatherface then come out and just donk him on the head, and
it's like whack-a-mole, isn't it? Really, it's like boom, done, dead.
Then doing the squirming thing because obviously just.
But then just dragging him into the door, and then the door shuts.
Slams, and then the music and everything.
That doesn't bother me. It's like, oh, it's over. I can't see anything, so I'm fine now. You just whacked him on the head. That's how I took it. To be fair. I know it sounds daft, but to be fair, I didn't see all of the stuff that you've just described. I just saw him whack him on the head and drag him off. Yeah. I was like, okay, well, I knew you were going to die because you shouldn't have been where you were.
Yeah.
And then clearly, the lady, I forgot her name as well. So is it Pam?
I believe so, yes.
The only reason why I remember this is because obviously The Office, not the fact that I know her name because she wasn't there that long for me to remember it.
Yeah.
Obviously, like I would, if you had not come out of a building for a while, I would have to go and have a look. Yeah. So really, they should have gone together if they were going to go in, instead of her being like, and sitting on the swing and sulking for a bit, and then being like, oh, it's not come out yet. That's a bit weird.
Yeah.
And then hers is a little bit more graphic, I think.
Yeah, she barges into what I think is like the living room or something, and kind of like all these feathers and bones all over the floor and kind of thing. It's kind of like going around the room like, oh, like what is this place type of thing, and it's just.
But why? What annoys me is the delay. Like, if I saw that, I'd be like, what the hell? Right, I'm getting out of here. But it's like, they freak out, and they're like, and they panic, and then they're like, just freeze. I guess they must be like rabbits in headlights.
Like shock, yeah.
And it's like, just get out, just go, stop standing there. Like, and then there was a chicken.
In a cage, yeah.
Which I felt was like laughing at her, a little bit like a mockery. Like,
okay.
That's how it came across. Like, even though it was encaged, it made it even more freakier.
I didn't quite see it that way, actually. I just literally took it as like another thing of symbolism of this is, an animal in a cage now, you're trapped in it, this is where you're going to meet your end type of thing. But that's a good thing of it, obviously, because it's like going like, cluck, 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 and then it was like, ha, 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 ha. Yeah, sinister almost. Yeah,
that's what it made it feel like to me. But I always think that with some seagulls when I'm outside or something, or, like if a seagull poos on you, it does make a laughing noise.
Yeah, almost. Mocking you.
Yeah. I feel like that's what that came across to me.
Yeah. But then Leatherface again bursts in. I was like, well, yeah, you should have maybe got out of there a bit soon.
She could have actually made an escape, really.
Yeah. After she's like retching and whatever. But yeah.
And he puts her on that spike.
This meat hook, yeah, which you don't see. It's obviously just for implication points.
Yeah, but then I'm guessing, is he cutting up Kurt at this point?
Yeah, with the chainsaw.
Obviously
gets it going.
That's like while she's watching, with something speared in her back. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it's not the greatest, but it's not the worst.
No, it's not. To be honest, this film isn't particularly graphic. It's more the implications that it has more than anything. It's not like too much blood, other than, like we said about before, cutting the hands and whatever. It's not like a blood spurting everywhere. Because
no, and I really thought
you're expecting.
Yeah,
something
I did.
Like that. Yeah.
So it wasn't as bad as I thought. it did feel like this film went on a little bit. So it felt like the certain deaths were like boom, boom, boom.
Yeah.
And then the last one was like, can we just get it over and done with? I know it sounds really bad. Just kill her already. So then we've got kind of flashing back, obviously, to Sally and Franklin being at the car and being like, oh, and her partner at that point as well is still there, isn't he?
I think he goes off, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Goes and has a look to see where they are. And then he dies, doesn't he?
Oh, yes, he does, yeah. Because, he kind of like, he hears him banging in the freezer.
Mm.
He opens it up. It is Pam, I think, in there, who's chilling.
Yeah, literally.
Kind of like this weird sound, like, oh, like as if she's kind of just like jumping back to life type of thing. And then, Leatherface again kind of like comes in and...
He's having all the fun, isn't he?
Wait, I don't think he is, because he's kind of like, at this point, he's like, kind of like looking at the curtains, like where are all these people coming from? It's like, so we, like, it's been so quiet for however long, and now suddenly everybody's coming.
It's like, this is a hard day at the office.
Yeah, he's going, he's having like a sit down at the window going like, oh God, I can't take this. It's too much to handle.
Well, stop killing him and you'll be fine. Why don't you just be nice?
Obviously then at that point it's kind of like zooming in and he's going like licking the lips type of thing, so it's like, well, you're clearly enjoying what you're doing type of thing, but then it's a bit just a screw loose. That
makes you think of cannibalism kind of thing.
Well, I think that's what they are really, because the whole family is...
Oh.
Yeah.
So I actually, when you said Chainsaw Massacre, straight away Hannibal Lecter came into my head. Weird how that I linked the two. I don't know why, but I thought of the mask and everything from. So strange.
But we've now into the darkness, and you also brought a point out about the fact that they had the car lights on, but then Franklin says they got the keys.
Yeah.
So it's like, and then it made me think, thinking, is that right? I mean, I'm sure they need the keys to power the lights, or maybe I'm being...
Well, yeah, because you need to turn your engine on, don't you?
Yeah. But then again...
You can have a flat battery, can't you?
You can, yes, you can.
You can have a flat battery with leaving your lights on. Yeah, you can,
because that's the thing that happens. Yeah, if you leave, like, radio on or anything like that.
You can turn your car off. So maybe.
Yeah.
But how did they leave the lights on? Have they left them on all this entire time as well?
Yeah, that's more the point, isn't it? Because obviously, they didn't have it through the day.
So why would you have left them on? So it just seems a little bit like, the story doesn't add up here. It's just another way to get him over to the house, isn't it? Which obviously Sally wants to leave Franklin on his own, which is not a great idea. But at least he'd be alive, but he couldn't get back home anyway, so he'd probably just die of starvation. That'd be the other way to go. Or she has to take him in the dark.
Which isn't easy, is it? Think about it again, it's hard enough.
Well, yeah, it's not like there's a path, is it?
It's all like grassy fields and stuff, yeah.
And it can't be comfortable for him bobbing along either, to be fair.
But he's soon to be out of his misery anyway. Because
it's really quick, that one is, actually.
It's like...
It was better for me because he wouldn't have had a chance to run away. It was like a boom, you're dead.
Yeah.
So... Because I was thinking, is it going to be that she's having to be running away with the wheelchair? And
really comically, like, style.
Yeah, and that's what I wasn't looking forward to, of how he was going to die. I think that was my least favourite out of all of them, because I was anxious thinking, what's that going to pan out like? Yeah. So I was grateful in the sense that it was quick and easy for him.
Didn't look quick and painless, though, did he? He did it a couple of times.
But he was dead, and it was like, there was nothing that you could do.
She could do, Sally.
So... That was fine, but oh God, didn't it drag on now after this bit? I feel like your acting regime should be: can you scream really, really loud, and can you run? Like, did you do the triathlon or whatever in school? Not can you act? It's just more how fast can you run? That's what I feel like the job description for the main lead was, and it did drag.
Right. Okay. I didn't really find it...
The running bits, that just went on forever for me. It's like, is he going to catch her? And then she's screaming, and then she stops, and then she's like, I know you need to catch your breath, but it's just the whole thing just didn't seem real to me. It's like I'd have been proper legging it. And then she gets a haircut at one point. And she's like, I'm like, what is she doing? I thought she was having a bit of a fit. I didn't realise. You had to tell me. Because she's like, and moving her hair. And I'm like, I don't understand. Why is she messing around with her hair? Just bung it up, love. Or rip your hair out. Because would you rather die than worry about your hair?
No, I know what you mean. Yeah.
Obviously, clearly, at the moment, with your haircut, you wouldn't have that problem.
No.
But I'd have been like, just tough it out. I don't care. I'll go bald as long as I can live.
Mm-hmm. Well, she ends up running back to his house anyway. Which obviously
Which is quite comical.
She doesn't know that it's his house anyway, where he lives.
It does make me laugh though. She's like, "Oh, literally just run into my house. Why not? So I can kill you."
Yeah. But she does run up the stairs, doesn't she? To try and obviously
she knocks on the door, like, "Help me!" And he's like, "Yeah, I'll help you. I'll let you in."
Like a cup of tea. Take a seat on the bone chair. Oh. Yeah. But what I kind of found kind of amusing, I don't know if you did. Obviously, she runs up the stairs and see anybody there's this grandpa in the chair and then Mrs. Bates from the Psycho sitting in there with the skeleton, whatever. It's like, oh well, these guys are clearly going to help me. And at this point, Leatherface is chopping down cutting through his own front door and everything.
Just get in, just open it.
I know, yeah. And then obviously it's like, right, well, come down the stairs. She runs down and it's like, well, he's got through now. It's like, oh, well, crap, I should have maybe...
And then jumps out of the window.
Yeah.
It just feels like it should be...
Benny Hill music. Yeah.
And it's like, it's not real and it's just so unlikely.
I know that's obviously not what the intention of the film is. It's supposed to be gripping and terrifying, but...
It wasn't.
For the amount of times I've seen it now, it kind of just seemed very comical and...
I was laughing at a bit of it, wasn't it, really, to be fair? Yeah. I wasn't it was like, oh my God, this is so scary. It was the first one out of all of these that we have watched. I didn't feel frightened at all. I went to sleep and I slept really well. I had no nightmares.
Well, you said because of the fact that, again, you wouldn't walk into someone's house in the middle of nowhere, would you?
No, I wouldn't put myself into that situation. Yeah. So I feel like I can't and hopefully won't be able to relate to it. Whereas Paranormal Activity kind of...
Or anything like that.
Yeah. I feel like that could happen because that's anywhere.
Yeah.
So I feel really sorry for Sally because she gets absolutely the worst end of the stick.
She does.
Everyone else gets killed quite quickly.
Well, she didn't die, but she gets dragged out, doesn't it? She goes through a lot in the film.
She does, and you mentioned there's this thing called a final girl, which I wasn't aware of.
Famously in horror films, it's a bit like remember from Halloween, Laurie.
Does she die?
No, she's the final girl. The one,
Christmas and the Cranks. Yeah. I wanted you to say it.
Jamie Lee Curtis, yeah.
Yes, we got Christmas into our Halloween session.
Yeah, she's a final girl in that.
An old final girl?
No.
Well, no, she just looked old in the thing, didn't she, to be fair?
Right, yeah. But she goes back to the gas station, Sally does, and she obviously oh, please, you got to help me, and the other guy's like, oh, there's no one out there now, kind of thing, but
it's kind of okay, and he's stroking her hair, being a creep.
Yeah.
And it just freaks me out, and then obviously he's in on it as well.
Yeah.
But not as psycho as Leatherface and Schizo that we get back again from the hitchhiking.
Yeah.
So he's is he a friend or something, really, or an acquaintance? Because I feel like Leatherface and the other one are brothers.
I think they're all related in some way, maybe cousin, I don't know, but...
yeah, they're the cousins back over there, don't they?
More ways than one, yeah.
Yeah, in Texas, they're all kind of got lots of cousins and they do hang around with them. I'm lucky if I don't actually see any of my cousins, to be fair.
But obviously, when he's obviously got a bagged and whatever...
Poke.
He hits her with a mop or something, doesn't he?
Oh my God, that was so funny. It was really funny. Reminded straight away, I went to Tom and Jerry in my head. You know, the woman going after the mouse. Yeah. That's what it reminded me of. And I'm so why are you meant to be watching a scary film and you've thought of Tom and Jerry, and then there's the kind of comical
running around. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's just this is not actually that scary. What rating is the film?
18.
Class it.
Would have been deemed shocking back in the day. Probably 15 now, to be fair. If that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is quite comical, and the fact that he hits her with a broom and then he's got her in the car in the bag.
I know, and then he goes to turn the lights off and locks up.
Make sure he's saving them electricity bills.
That he says, yeah.
Well, to be fair, everyone needs to do that because it keeps going up, doesn't it?
Never gets old to say that thing. It's just a thing that just happens in life. Just prices, taxes rise.
Yeah.
Everything. Yeah.
But then he goes in these weird stages in the car. one minute's like, it's okay, don't worry, we'll be there soon. And he's got like this, I don't know if it's part of the broom or what. He's like, jab, jab. And I'm like, why are you doing that? And he's like, thinking, you're like absolutely bipolar.
Yeah.
One minute you're like this normal human being, then you're like a psycho.
Yeah, definitely.
Losing the plot. And I don't understand anyone that could hurt somebody or kill somebody. I don't really know where that comes from.
Never will. No, it's just without understanding their psyche and everything. It's just something that we can't comprehend.
I can imagine if somebody really pissed you off, like.
I mean, we've all said stuff like, "Oh, I could kill you," but just not in a jokey kind of not non-malicious way. But
yeah, but I don't feel like somebody who I don't know has done me no harm. Like, how you could inflict pain on anybody that like in that situation, I just don't get. Just because you're like cutting somebody up, that's just a bit sick and twisted. So then I don't really like this bit when we get to the house. It just seems a bit all weird and strange.
Are you referring to the dinner table scene type of thing? Yeah. Which is now bound up and everything. And
I don't like gags either. Or choking. That for me. Uh-huh. So yeah, now people know that's not something we'd do because I just don't like it. Don't choke me, I'll punch you. Don't put anything in my mouth unless it's food. So I'd have been absolutely livid if I were there.
Really?
Yeah.
What would you have done?
I'd use my kicky legs, kicking at them.
What if they were bound?
I don't know, I'd probably wiggle in my chair and probably fall over.
Okay. And
then hopefully be able to do something.
Mm-hmm. But you kind of feels very torture for the audience as well. This whole anticipation of what's going to happen to her, and you get all these like real extreme close-ups of her eye
at this point horrible.
As well. Kind of getting that sense of dread and fear, like literally
really bloodshot, isn't it?
Like, and imagine how close that camera must have been to her actual eye to get that close,
especially back then.
Yeah.
And it was a bit eerie and freaky to watch, and also like her. Obviously, the black bit of her eye was really dilated as well.
Yeah.
And the rim around, and it's like, well, obviously she's clearly had to be screaming a hell of a lot to look.
Go on. Yeah. Crazy. And then they're all that kind of laughing along type of thing.
They had an easy job, didn't they, really?
Yeah. At this point also, it's because Leatherface has like a couple of costume changes, doesn't he? It's kind of like
Mrs. Doubtfire turns up as well somehow.
in that bit, it's kind of like the mother roles for whatever reason in this. So
he really reminds me of must be Psycho. No.
Yeah, you're thinking Norman Bates.
Yeah.
Yeah. Dressing up as the mother. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh wow. Oh. Yeah, that's what it reminds me of. Thinking he's somebody different, and then
putting on a persona.
Yeah, really, really messed up he is. But the one that freaks me out the most is the hitchhiker.
Okay. Really?
Yeah, it's his laughing and it's his and he's the one that's kind of egging it all on.
Yeah, seems to be getting the most kick out of it, isn't he, really?
Yeah, he is. And obviously then they bring down Grandad. I'm like, is he actually dead?
Yeah, he kind of looks like just a puppet almost, doesn't he?
It's like, why don't you just kill him and eat him? Why not? That's what you do. I'm sure I'd be happy to go that way.
Yeah. Well, he comes to life pretty quick. But he like cuts her finger and then like feeds her the blood, which he did actually drink. That was real blood that he was drinking. It wasn't fake. He was actually
sucking her blood out. Felt like a vampire kind of thing.
Yeah, it sounded like, and he's like kind of rejuvenating him. But another funny part after the fact was obviously like when he's trying to get her untying her, which is kind of stupid. Like, why would you do that? Because then she's just going to kick and scream, run away.
Yeah.
The bit, obviously, when it's like, again, probably not trying to be comical, but obviously the fact that when he's like, come on, Grandpa, hit her on the head, and just kind of keeps dropping the hammer because he's so frail and weak, and it's just like, oh, come on, no, stop it, you're not doing it right. And the hitchhiker guy's like, come on, I'll do it, or whatever.
Yeah.
Kind of thing, almost. And it's just like...
And that bit did make me laugh, but at the same time I felt sorry for her because she's still getting traumatised. It's like, it'd just been easier for her to just have a one whack.
Yeah.
And it'd be now.
Yeah. But she just get free.
She does, which I'm really surprised at how, yet again, this film ends. Because actually, we've got 2 happy endings. So, from last film that we reviewed, Babadook. Yeah, if you want to go and listen to that, it's a really good episode, and we've got some good people on there from Tipsy Pod.
Yeah.
And that ends well. And this, technically...
Somewhat, but, I mean, she kind of has a bit of a trauma, doesn't she? It's not completely happy.
But she's alive.
Oh, yeah,
like,
she's alive.
I thought she was going to die.
Well, I think you kind of said, didn't you, like, you felt like, because she was again screaming, running away, and jumped out of window again. And it's like, I think you may have said, like, would you even bother? Would you just give up now type of thing? But I think, well, no, because you got to this point, you've managed to escape, you just keep on running for as long as you can.
I guess, but how does she have the energy? Like, how?
I don't know, but it's just absolute pure motivation to just stay alive.
But all your friends have died, and it's like, well, I'm stuck here now, and...
Yeah.
But bless her, she does. She gets out onto the main road, and...
Hitchhiker gets crushed by a truck.
Yeah, that is quite comical.
Yeah.
It is. I did like that. And then, obviously, the cab driver kind of helps her go in the cab and then out of the cab.
Again, another truck, yeah.
Yeah.
Which again was kind of funny because this is fat black guy, but that's not by the by. The fact that he's fat or anything, but he's kind of like he sees Leatherface coming, he's like, oh fuck this, type of thing.
And then he's going
like,
as well.
Oh, hell no.
Which I don't blame him. Like if I saw that in the middle of the street, I'd be like, what the heck's going on?
So he's like Leatherface like chainsawing the door off, type of thing, and it's like, I'll just go around the back
because obviously. Setting off the car or the truck is going to take a bit of time to kind of have the oomph to go. Yeah. But thankfully, I don't really know what happens to him, actually.
I think he manages to just run off or something. I don't know. He doesn't die, I don't think. But Sally then manages to get a pickup truck just like an about turn, and she kind of jumps on the back and she manages to get away, and she's like all covered in blood and everything, but she's kind of like cackling away, like in maniac, like relieved, like scared, happy, relieved laugh. But it's like what that has done to your psyche is, I
don't know if it'd be better if you were dead, because like, would you trust anybody anymore? Like, how can you be normal after that?
I know, yeah.
And also, I was thinking, well, who's in the car? How do we know she gets off safe? Because she went to the petrol station and she thought she was going to be all right, and clearly she wasn't. So how can she trust the person in the car?
Yes, there is that, but it doesn't really dwell on that too much. You just take it as she's got away, and she's just like that shot of like, haha, I've defeated you type of thing, but at what cost type of thing.
Yeah, and then obviously you've got Leatherface just going with his chainsaw.
Yeah, which no, you don't normally get like a shot of like in the sunset or the early rise of the morning. It's normally in the darkness. There's kind of things happening if you're running away from something, so it's kind of like a contrast from something out of the norm, really. But and then just the sharp cut, and as he's waving his chainsaw around, and that's the film.
Quite funny. It is funnier than I thought it was going to be. To be honest,
intentionally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Would I watch it again? No.
No.
Sorry. No. Know what happens now. I've seen it, done it. Don't need to see it again. Don't think I've missed out.
But are you glad you've seen it now? If someone said, "Oh, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre," you'd be like, "Oh yeah, I've seen that." And
I guess, but I don't feel like somebody would say, "Oh, it's a classic."
No, you wouldn't like think a recommendation of as like when you come to horror films. You think
I don't think I'd recommend any horrors to anybody. To be fair.
Well, no. Why would they go to you?
Yeah, and if I did. Out of them all that we've been watching at the moment, Babadook is the highest.
Right.
To be honest. That is the one that scared me. If you wanted a scare.
Yeah.
That's what I would say was scary personally for me.
Yeah.
And it's more of a storyline. It feels more realistic. It's not laughable like this.
I don't think that was the intention for it to be laughable back then. But
it's really laughable and it's stupid. And I just think, well, if you go somewhere like that in the middle of Texas and you knock on someone's random door in the middle of the field and you come across a murderer, then it's your own fault.
There we have it. So after all that, what would you rate it?
I'm so sorry. I can't really rate it that much.
Okay.
Like, this is clearly worse than Blair Witch.
Okay. Because you weren't scared at all.
I weren't scared at all. I didn't like the characters. I wasn't upset if someone was going to die or not. I couldn't care less. So there was no attachment there. And it was just a bit creepy.
That's what it's going for, the creep factor.
But just a bit. And then more laughable. It felt like a really stupid comedy. Which, you know me, I don't like one of those stupid comedies. Oh, I'll just jump out of a window and I'm still alive. Clearly, you might die if you jump out of a window. Don't do it.
True. So, what's the actual score then?
I'm toying. What's the word? I'm stalling until...
Just tell me. Just tell me. Put me out of misery like a cow.
It's going to be a 3.5.
Oh my god. Oh my god. So I didn't expect it to be that low.
Did you not?
I expect maybe a 5 or something.
No, I couldn't match it to Blair Witch.
5. Okay.
And I thought 4 isn't still justified.
Right, okay.
Because then I need to reevaluate my Blair Witch score.
Right. I see. Because you mean you were annoyed at how that ended, really. You were scared all the way through. But,
yeah.
But you gave it a low score because you were scared. But whereas this, you weren't scared hardly, if at all.
No, and I think with Blair Witch, it was more just the fact of I just had got myself so worked up to know what something was, and it wasn't. Mm-hmm. The actual storyline for Blair Witch was very solid, and I feel like this was just running around trying to kill somebody. There wasn't really much of a storyline. You didn't really get to know your characters. Whereas in Blair Witch, you do. So I feel like I can't make this any higher than that.
Okay. And
that's the whole reason for the scoring. And it wasn't scary. It was more comical than scary. And for a horror film, I feel like you should be feeling a little bit scared. And it felt a bit predictable, like you knew that, oh, that person's walked in there, so they're going to die now. The ending, I guess, I was surprised that she lived. Mm-hmm. But it wasn't like a Babadook ending, where it was completely a shock to me.
Okay. Because
it was either two outcomes, she dies or she may live.
Yeah, okay.
So yeah, sorry.
Okay.
Oh, you look so sad. Don't worry, soon we'll be out of Halloween and I'll score higher.
For me, though, it's 8 going on 8.5.
What? Why so high? Come on, explain.
Well, I feel like there's a lot more than going on here than you're making out. There isn't really. I don't feel like there's really anything like a dull-ish moment.
Oh, there was. For me, when she was running around in the trees and everything, and then that running went on forever.
But it kind of building up that level of terror.
I'll just grab her and kill her now, will you?
And the fact that it does it with it under 90 minutes is good. It's not like it dragging it out for completely forever and ever and ever. Again, it's more the fact that how the conditions that we're under. It's a bit like I said before about The Shining, where you're like pushing people to the limit. And you get these performances which really reflect that. I'm not condoning that was a good idea to do, but it gets a...
No, I don't feel like that is the thing. Like, compared to The Shining, I really felt it from, like... Obviously, I forgot what...
Wendy,
yeah. I really felt it. And, like, her screams are petrifyingly screamed. Yeah. Whereas these screams just feel like somebody's screaming. I don't feel like she looks... Apart from when she's being a little bit tortured in the chair. Like, that's the only time...
That's the most effective... I feel again.
Like running around in the woods, like a scream there, that was like half-assed.
Right.
It didn't feel real enough for me to think somebody was actually hurting her.
But what also the works for me in not the intentional way, like we said, but because there is that sort of unintentional comedy element to it. The fact that some of these actions are fairly silly. And they just kind of come across, that adds a level of enjoyment for me personally as well.
I'm glad you enjoyed it. At least one of us did.
So there's that factor. But I just think it's when you think of like the classics of like, maybe not modern horror, but you know, horror from the late 70s going on 80s, that kind of era is kind of important, I think. And despite the fact there's not a lot of blood. And I don't think it really would have added much if it was all blood spatter everywhere. So I think it's really effective.
Well, if you like horror films and you love Paul's opinion, go watch it. If you don't like horror films and you don't want to waste 90 minutes of your time and you agree with me, don't go watch it.
But do go and listen to all our other episodes over on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Podbean, and wherever else you might get your podcasts from.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, we're on the social media platforms on Instagram, Twitter, under the handle SP_filmviewers.
We most certainly are. So if you want to go and give us a comment, advise on some movies or films that you want us to watch, because we're coming up to our 100th episode. So we're working out, really ramping up of what we think should be on there. So if anyone has any ideas or recommendations, we're always gladly taken on board.
Mm-hmm.
We have got a few things lined up in November.
And just December for the 100th episode.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I just didn't want to spoil December, because obviously everybody knows Sophie's going to have something lined up for December.
Mm-hmm.
So any comments or anything like that is always appreciated.
Yes. And of course, any 5-star reviews on Apple Podcasts or Podchaser, very much appreciated too.
We also have a buy us a coffee page, or buy Paul a coffee. I know I kind of always joke about it, but to be fair, Paul does do all the background work and he's amazing at it. So he says I'm the star of the show, but to be fair to him, he edits it, he uploads it. I literally sit for half an hour or an hour, depending on how I feel.
Well, or an hour and a half or 2 hours.
and talk.
Yeah.
And that's never... well, it's fun, isn't it? I get to talk to you.
Yeah.
So if anyone wants to buy Paul a pumpkin latte, I think they're out now.
Should be.
We went early, didn't we, in October, and there wasn't one, and we were really disappointed.
Yeah.
Then I'm sure he would appreciate that as well.
Yeah. Thank you. So thank you very much, everybody, for listening, and we will speak to you next time.
Thank you so much for listening. Only one more Halloween to go. And we'll speak to you next time.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.